go with Plan B.
Okay.
No, it'll be what it will be.
Okay. What else can we help you with then, since our plan A did not work?
You can have a good show.
Holy.
Be aware you're standing in front of a live match. Try it again if you want.
He figured out he had it mute.
Do you want to try it again?
Yeah, we'll try it again. He's
Okay, I'm
getting all
still
set
getting
right now. He's on the phone.
I need to play some music so that he has something. Can I get you to talk, sir, just for a second?
I know that he's in mind.
It's okay. Let's just, that's more important.
Right.
Plan B okay.
Leave something.
And then I'll try with them.
Stack behind this one here. Hey, John, yeah, nice helping you.
Thank you.
Can we have sound, please? It's supposed to be on. Can we have sound, please?
Sound.
Maybe not.
I'm just gonna read off.
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you. On behalf of the Southern Utah University Veterans and Resource Center, I'd like to welcome you to today's ceremony. We are honored to have each of you on campus to share such an important occasion. I am Nicholas Meyer, an Army veteran, Vice President of the Student Veterans of America here at SUU. Today, we have a special program that we hope will bring remembrance and gives great appreciation to all our veterans, both past and present. Right now, I'd like to recognize any distinguished guests from the city, from the community. At this time, the SUU Wind Symphony will play our national anthem along with the SUU ROTC Color Guard posting the colors. We are honored to have Nathan Myers sing our anthem. He will be accompanied by the Wind Symphony. We would ask everyone to please stand for the presentation of colors and remain standing throughout the entirety of our great anthem.
Part-time. Face. Forward.
Thank you. Please be seated. What a great way to start our program. Thank you to our ROTC cadets for their professionalism as they display our nation's colors, while the Wind Symphony played our anthem along with Nathan Myers. As they sing the words of our national anthem, a beautiful tribute. Thank you to each of you. As way of announcements, earlier today a flag-raising ceremony and a brief program was held at the Veterans Park, sponsored by the Iron County Veterans Coalition. We would like to thank them for their continued commitment and partnership. Tonight, the orchestra at Southern Utah will conduct a Veterans Tribute at the Heritage Center at 7:30 p.m. We would like to invite you to the Wreaths Across America event being held on December 18th. This Veterans Day marks the centennial commemoration of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It is a monument in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia that is dedicated to deceased U.S. service members whose remains have not been identified. Today we honor all service members and remember the sacrifices they have made on behalf of our great nation. We remember, we will not forget, and we honor all who have served. Thank you to our veterans, our families who have served, those individuals who brought their right arm to a square and swore to defend our Constitution against enemies both foreign and domestic. You are heroes amongst us, and we will always remember each and every one of you. It is a privilege to have a special guest speaker with us today. We are honored to have an Army veteran, a public servant in our community, and above all, a symbol of excellence that continues to serve. Chad Dodson is the Iron County attorney where he and his office prosecute criminal cases on behalf of the state. He also represents Iron County in legal matters. Mr. Dodson is a proud graduate of Southern Utah University where he studied political science and criminal justice. He later received his law degree from the University of South Dakota. Mr. Dodson served in the Utah National Guard's 222nd Field Artillery, where he attained the rank of sergeant. He and his unit deployed to Baghdad, Iraq in 2011. He and his wife, Sarah, have been married for 11 years and are the proud parents of 4 children. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Chad Dodson.
Well, good morning and thank you. It's good to be here on Veterans Day. It's good to be back here on this beautiful campus. I so enjoyed my time here as a student just over a decade ago. And it's always good to be back. Thank you to the Veterans Student Resource Center and to Sergeant Major Miller for the invitation to be here today. I appreciate it. We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th year in 1918. A few years later, in 1921, an unknown American soldier from that war was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. This site on a hillside overlooking the Potomac River in the city of Washington, D.C. has become the focal point of our admiration for the American veteran. This year, we commemorate the 100-year anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown. For nearly 100 years, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier has served as the heart of Arlington National Cemetery. It is a beautiful memorial that inspires reflection of service, valor, and sacrifice. And if you've ever been to Arlington National Cemetery and you've seen the routine of the guards of the tomb, you've no doubt felt the reverence and the devotion of those guards. And you've gotten a sense, even a small sense, of the tremendous sacrifice that was made by the fallen. It is the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, also known as the Old Guard, that guard the tomb and have done so since 1948. Soldiers who volunteer to become tomb guards must undergo a strict selection process and intensive training. Each element of the tomb guard's routine has very special meaning. The guard marches 21 steps down the black mat behind the tomb, turns and faces to the east for 21 seconds, turns and faces north for 21 seconds, and then turns back and takes 21 steps down the mat. He then executes a sharp shoulder arms movement to place his weapon on his shoulder in between him and the visitors. This signifies that he stands between the tomb and any possible threat. The number 21 symbolizes the highest symbolic military honor that can be bestowed. That's the 21 gun salute. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter the weather conditions, the Sentinel Guards perform their duty, honoring the sacrifice of the fallen and keeping our nation's promise that we will never forget. The idea that we go to such great lengths to honor and remember somebody who is unknown or known but to God, as the memorial states. On the western side of the tomb is inscribed the words, "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God." The fact that we go to these lengths is quite remarkable. But really, it's all we can do. For those who gave their last full measure of devotion and died for our country, all we can do is honor them and never forget them. In my office at the county attorney's office, I have on my bookcase a picture of Charles Witham. Charles fought in World War II. He served as a turret gunner on a B-24 bomber. He and his crew had flown several successful bombing raids over the Philippine Islands. Charles, like many of his generation, answered the call to service to defend our nation against fascism and totalitarianism. He's not famous or well known, but he happens to be my grandmother Ruth's little brother. My grandmother was 17 years old, and her little brother Charles was 10 when their mother passed away. And although Grandma was Charles's big sister, she became in many ways like a mother. Growing up, I remember my grandparents telling me Charles' story. They didn't tell it often because, despite the passage of so many years, emotions remained ever so close to the surface. In 1944, Uncle Charles was home on leave. He was 20 years old, still just a boy. Before he returned to his squadron to head back to war, he asked my grandmother to bake him his favorite chocolate chip cookies. And of course she would. She and my grandfather took him back to the air base where he was to link up with his crew to go back overseas. He got out of the car and he grabbed his bags and he said, "Ruth, it's bad luck to look back once I say goodbye, so I'll give you a hug and I'll go. I won't look back." He hugged my grandparents and he went on his way. With a trembling voice, my grandmother told me that she watched Charles leave, carrying the bag that she remembered vividly, a sack of cookies clutched in his right hand that bounced on his leg as he walked away. It would be the last time she ever saw him alive. Charles went back to war, and his crew's plane was shot down by Japanese Zeros over the Negros Island on November 8th, 1944. He was buried with members of his crew on that island. To this day, I recall feeling what I heard and felt when I heard the emotion in my grandparents' voices as they told Uncle Charles' story. And when they told that story, I knew I was on sacred ground. On Veterans Day in 1985, President Ronald Reagan noted that, quote, "It is, in a way, an odd thing that we honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, grave and gray-haired. Most of them were just boys when they died, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers, and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us, and all we can do is remember. In my small way, I remember Uncle Charles by keeping his photo in my office. And when I look at him, it stirs something within me. Not just because he paid the ultimate sacrifice, but because of what he now represents. He has joined the chorus of the proverbial 21-gun salute, which reminds us just how fortunate we are to live in this great land. It reminds us of the sacred principles that are inherent to our nation. These principles include the right to worship God freely, according to the dictates of our own conscience. The fact that our rights come from God, they don't come from government. The government's purpose is to protect those rights. And that protection ensures us the ability to live and to raise our families in peace and security. That we're agents unto ourselves as we go on about our quest to pursue liberty and pursuit of happiness. When I look out and see the veterans here today, I recognize many of them. And when I remember the men and women who I served with in my time in the military and in my time in Iraq, when I think of the military families who had to continue on while their loved ones were deployed, I'm reminded of these principles that we hold so dear. For this is the true reason we celebrate this holiday. Because although the principles we hold to be self-evident, they're self-evident, but they're not self-enacting. They require the resolve of the people to sustain them, and they require the veteran to have defended them. And so today, may unknown soldier take on new meaning to each of us. For there truly are so many unknown soldiers among us. The mother who raises her children to love God and instills values of virtue. The father who works hard and teaches integrity, duty, and a love of country. All citizens who go about quietly about their lives, fulfilling their responsibilities, engaging civically, making innumerable sacrifices that are known but to God. It's these quiet acts that are the best way to honor and remember our veterans, is to espouse those principles. Poet Edgar Guest wrote, "Who does his task from day to day and meets whatever comes his way, believing God has willed it so, has found real greatness here below. Who guards his post no matter where, believing God must need him there. Although the lowly toil it be, has risen to nobility. And great and low, there's but one test. 'Tis that each man shall do his best. Who works with all the strength he can, shall never die in debt to man." I want to thank the veterans, both past, present, and future, those who will serve. I'm grateful for my service in the military, the lessons that I learned, the relationships that I made. I'm so grateful for my family who supported me. My sweet wife when I deployed 10 years ago to Iraq. When I left, she was a new mother. We had our first child, was 5 days old when I went to Iraq. And she had to carry on as a new mother with a new baby. It's not a tall task, or it's not an easy task, but she didn't complain. But our story isn't unique. That's the story of so many military families. And so may we honor our veterans every day by living with moral courage and espousing the principles of liberty that make our nation one that is worth fighting and dying for. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you for those words. Your comments were spot on. We thank you for your military service, your continued public service, and above all, your excellent example. We would like to give you this pen set as a token of our appreciation to you. Thank you, Chad. Thank you. Let's give him another round of applause. Now we have the pleasure to hear another musical number from our Wind Symphony and Opus Choir. Conducted by Dr. Adam Lambert and Wesley Buckwalter, they'll be performing Battle Hymn of the Republic. Thank you to the SUU Wind Symphony, Dr. Lambert, Wesley Buckwalter, and the Opus Choir for that stirring musical piece. Today, as we pay tribute to all who served, we are fortunate to give special recognition to 3 outstanding veterans. Let us all recognize 3 veterans today. 1, a pillar of excellence in the community, another, a student veteran, and lastly, an SUU ROTC cadet. I'd like to introduce Glade Sorensen, U.S. Army retired, and his grandson, Nevada, who will give a short biography on Glade. Here's Nevada.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nevada Sorensen, grandson to Glade Sorensen. I'm a sergeant in the United States Army, currently on a rotation to Poland in support of Operation Atlantic Resolve. I'm honored to be here today to read my grandfather's military biography for you all today. So without further ado, Glade Sorensen was born August 2nd, 1931. In 1949, Glade attended Utah State University, where all male students were required to enroll in 2 years of ROTC. Always an overachiever, Glade chose to stay in ROTC all 4 years of college and received his commission as a second lieutenant in December 1953. Prior to that time, in 1952, Glade joined a reserve unit in Logan as part of the 96th Infantry Division. In 1954, Glade began active duty in Fort Bliss, Texas in January. In October, he was sent to Fort Lewis, Washington, and later Fort Lawton with a 19 miss salute. In 1956 and 1957, Glade attended and graduated from Advanced Missile School in Fort Bliss, Texas. In October, during Christmas break, he married Cherie Helquist and took her on a honeymoon to El Paso, Texas. The couple returned back to Fort Lawton, Washington in March 1957. Glade was discharged from active duty in July to begin his teaching career at Cedar High School in August. From 1958 to 1959, Glade joined the Cedar City National Guard in April 1958. He was promoted to captain in 1959. In 1960, Glade and the 222nd Cedar Unit spent their summer camp in Puerto Rico. This was the only time he left American soil. In 1966, Glade transferred to 145th Group in Provo, Utah, and was promoted to major. Glade later served in the 11th Corps Artillery and was later transferred to State Headquarters National Guard. In 7 years, he never missed a drill, making the drive from Cedar City in all kinds of weather, never complaining about having to spend those many hours on the road, mainly two-lane hybrids. In 1972, Glade attended and graduated from Command and General Staff School at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. In 1974, Glade transferred from the Utah National Guard to the Army Reserve, active at St. Louis, Missouri. Glade was still teaching high school biology during this time and began spending the summers teaching Army Reserve and National Guard officers, advanced artillery, and Command and General Staff at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and Command and General Staff in Reno. Glade made friends throughout the United States who were also National Guard and Army Reserve officers, exchanging Christmas cards for years. In 1977, Glade was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. In 1982, Glade retired in January with nearly 30 years of military service. He has continued to be involved with the Cedar City American Legion. In hindsight, Glade sometimes wishes he had stayed on active duty. However, he is grateful to have raised 4 children in a stable environment and to have had a good high school teaching career of 35 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, it is my honor to recognize and welcome to the stage Mr. Glade V. Sorensen, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army retired.
very much. People really appreciate this. My daughter right here, this is to meet you, and I get here early, but she didn't tell me why. Appreciate y'all coming here for the recognition what you gave me.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. Let's give him another round of applause. Our next recognition is for our veteran student. Mark Seifer is our honoree. Mark graduated from Loudoun Valley High School in 2012. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 2016. While serving in the Marine Corps service, he was stationed in Camp Lejeune from 2016 until 2020 as an 0352 anti-tank missileman. Mark had a unit deployment to Okinawa, Japan, and South Korea in 2017, and another unit deployment to Norway and Sweden from 2018 until 2019. In addition, he completed advanced infantry training from the School of Infantry East Training Battalion in August of 2018. Mark was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps on April 6, 2020. He is currently enrolled at SUU for a bachelor's degree in the Aerospace and Aviation Sciences, the Rotary program. This semester, he is participating in his instrument lab. Mark is active on campus with our veteran initiatives and is a co-pilot at SUU Aviation, which is a mentorship program to assist new aviation students. We appreciate Mark, his military service, and as a veteran student leader. Please welcome to the stage, Mark Seifer. Our ROTC category is being awarded to Cadet Conley Preston Linford. He enlisted as a private in the Utah National Guard in March of 2017. He later graduated from Fremont High School in May of 2017. After high school, he attended basic training and advanced training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and trained as a human resources specialist. Soon after being assigned to the S1 shop in HHC 211th GSAB located in West Jordan, Utah, Conley was deployed to Camp Taji, Iraq, and Camp Beering, Kuwait in support of Operation Inherent Resolve in 2018 until 2019. While deployed, he was promoted as a specialist in September of 2018. Upon his return from deployment, he started college at SU in the fall of 2019, studying business management, and thereafter contracted as an ROTC cadet in the fall of 2020. He is presently assigned to the 65th Fires Brigade and attached to Charlie Company RSP located in St. George, Utah. This last spring, he competed with BYU at the Sandhurst Military Skills Competition located at West Point, New York. In addition, he also graduated Airborne School in the summer of 2021. Conley is on track to graduate Southern Utah University in the spring of 2023 with his business management degree and also to commission as a second lieutenant in the Utah Army National Guard. We are pleased to honor Cadet Conley Linford and welcome him to the stage. We recognize you three. We thank you for your service, past, present, and into the future. Let us give them another round of applause. Thank you. As we continue to honor our veterans, we invited fifth grade students across many of the Iron County elementary schools to participate in the annual poster contest. Today, we get to recognize and honor the 5 overall winners. We could have them come up to the stage, please, for recognition. The 5 overall winners were Cody Clegg of Fiddlers Elementary, Zoe Jensen of East Elementary, Riley Wood of East Elementary, Layla Lucero of North Elementary, and Aubrey Bellamy of North Elementary. Thank you. Now, if you would please welcome Senior Chief Retired Laura Grantier, who will help us in recognizing our fallen.
Thank you, Nick. You're doing a fantastic job as MC for today's ceremony. Let's give him a round of applause. Good morning, everyone. My name is Senior Chief Retired Laura Grantier. I'm also the Director of Woodwinds and Assistant Professor of Clarinet here at Southern Utah University. I just started this role in September of 2021, and I've just had a wonderful time here already, and I'm honored to be speaking to you today. I would like to take a moment to thank our special guests in attendance today, and of course, our veterans and their families. I would also like to take a moment to thank our amazing SUU Wind Symphony and our Opus Choir under the direction of Dr. Adam Lambert and Dr. Crystal McCoy. They simply sounded amazing, don't you think? Yes, yes. I'm proud to wear my full dress blues once again. I retired July 31st, 2021, after a 26-year career in the United States Navy Band. I want to thank the United States Navy Band, Washington, D.C., for all of those years performing concerts and ceremonies. I am grateful to be able to bring this experience with me and contribute to today's event. And as Mr. Dotson was saying, I really appreciate your beautiful words about the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, because I performed many, many funerals and wreath ceremonies at Arlington National Cemetery, and it is indeed hallowed ground. So thank you for those wonderful words. Thank you, Sergeant Major Miller, for welcoming me as a volunteer into the SUU Veterans Resource and Support Center. I'm honored to be a part of your wonderful community. Our SUU Student Veterans of America Field of Flags is a display of small flags placed in formation to pay tribute to all our veteran faculty, staff, and students on campus. If you haven't seen the Field of Flags, I urge you to go visit the display on the library quad following today's ceremony. It is a symbol of great tribute and appreciation from our SUU Student Veterans of America. Thank you to those who helped put this wonderful display together. However, the display goes above and beyond and remembers all of those service members who paid the ultimate sacrifice, who gave their last full measure of devotion in service to our country, and those who have visible and invisible wounds as a result of their service. We honor all our veterans. Of all the military bugle calls, none is so easily recognized or more apt to evoke emotion than the call taps. It consists of 24 notes, and the melody is both eloquent and haunting. Yari Villanueva, a retired trumpet instrumentalist from the U.S. Air Force Band in Washington, D.C., and TAPS historian said, end quote, "In the British Army, a similar type of call, known as the last post, has been sounded over soldiers' graves since 1885. But the use of taps is unique to the United States military, since the call is sounded at funerals, wreath layings, and memorial services," end quote. To honor our fallen, please stand as SUU student Will Zeller renders taps. Uniform personnel in uniform will render the hand salute. Please be seated. Thank you, Will, for that beautiful taps. And now, the part you've been waiting for. If you or someone you know served in the armed forces, we will ask you to stand when you hear your service song. Now, we're going to start with the U.S. Space Force, even though it is the newest branch of the military. We had quite an interesting situation arise between the Wind Symphony and the choir, as their parts were in two different keys. So we're going to let the Opus Choir sing the U.S. Space Force service song, and then the Wind Symphony will begin their Armed Forces salute. So again, if you are a service member or veteran, or you or your family member, please stand and be recognized when you hear your service song.
Darkest night, we shall bear a torch of light.
Thank you for that wonderful performance by the Wind Symphony and the Opus Choir. Our service members are often thanked for their services and sacrifices for this country, which is something they deserve. While thanking those who proudly wear or have worn the military uniform, it is also important that we thank those who stand behind our military and support them through this journey. While our service members give up a lot for our country, their great service will be limited without the untiring support from home. At this time, we would like to ask all immediate family of service members, both past and present, to please stand for a round of applause. Thank you to all who participated in the program today, and a special thank you to our committee members, the SUU Wind Symphony, Opus Choir, Mr. Dodson, our honorees, and each of you. Please enjoy each other's company and the refreshments provided before you leave. Thank you again. This concludes our event.